I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Common Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you would, please remain standing after the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you remain standing, please. This afternoon, we brought to his final resting place Officer Cesar Ramirez, a 31-year veteran of the Norwalk Police Department. It was an amazing show of love from this community, with a motorcycle escort of about 40 motorcycles from various police departments around the state, probably 500 or 600 people from the community. It was just an amazing display of love for this police officer who served the city so well, who was the face of community policing, who gave everything that he had to this city and asked nothing in return. So if we could please have a moment of silence in memory of Officer Ramirez and in prayer for his family. Thank you. Clerk, if you please read the prepared statement and call the roll.
January 28, 2020. Please be advised this meeting is being taped for audio and video broadcast. The meeting will also be closed captioned. It's important that everyone speak clearly into the microphones and only one person speak at a time. Assisted listening devices are available. Mr. Burnett.
Present.
Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Langella.
Here.
Mr. Sachinelli.
Present.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Hugelman.
Present.
Mr. Roberts. Mr. Dumas. Ms. Young.
Here.
Mr. Kites.
Here.
Mr. Theodorides.
Here.
Mr. Keegan.
Here.
Mr. Sirenides.
Here.
Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Ms. Shanahan.
Here.
2 absent, right? 13 present, 2 absent.
13 present. We have a quorum. First item on the agenda, the acceptance of the minutes of the special meeting of January 14th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'd like them to be moved, Mr. Mayor, with one correction.
Moved by Ms. Shanahan, and the correction?
On page 9, in the second to last sentence, I think it should read, they have 6 weeks to get the number ready. And with that correction, I would move that the minutes be accepted.
Any other corrections, omissions, deletions?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett?
Mr. Mayor, on page 3, at the top of the page, after it says Mr. Keegan moved the following appointment, it should state Todd Diesel, Zoning Board of Appeals alternate. Right,
Oh, okay.
yeah, right there.
Right here.
Yep,
Okay. Tad Diesel.
yes.
Okay. Any further corrections? Mr. Keegan?
Yes, in addition, here, under D5, Land Use and Building Committee, the item said in part, together with construction cost estimating services to be provided by a separate firm. Mr. Keegan, that would be me, asked that the cost for the cost estimating service was included in the $50,000 request. Mr. Allen Blow answered it was not.
Any further corrections, omissions, additions, deletions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes as corrected? Opposed? Abstentions?
Same.
One abstention, Mr. Sachinelli. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public participation.
Lisa Brinton.
Good evening, everybody. Lisa Brinton, 24 Highland Avenue. In anticipation of his confirmation tonight, I'm here to welcome Mr. Ford to Norwalk as our new tax assessor. I'm also here to make him aware, if city officials haven't done so already, of our multi-unit housing assessment problem that's gone unchecked for far too long. And I'm hoping he'll apply his experiences from Worcester. With 185,000 residents, Worcester's population is double the size of Norwalk. So Mr. Ford undoubtedly has experience with multi-unit housing assessments, as census figures indicate that only 42% of Worcester housing is owner-occupied. Norwalk has seen a shift in its housing over the past 5 years, resulting in a percentage decrease in owner-occupied homes and a dramatic increase in multi-unit housing, both in terms of new development and illegal units, usually arising out of older, single, or two-family zoned homes around the city. Historically, the majority of Norwalk's housing was single-family owner-occupied, but demographic shifts, Northeast affordability, a struggling state economy, and new immigration trends have resulted in a more transient and less affluent population that's reliant on individual landlords, LLCs, and real estate trusts for their housing. Nevertheless, City Hall's headcount, employee salaries, benefits, and other expenses continue to rise. Our schools are struggling with spiked enrollment. We just received the largest BOE ask in history at 7% or $14 million. And there's no help from the state coming. These housing shifts require better record keeping and financial accounting. Unfortunately, a significant amount of our housing is not reflected in our city records, resulting in underreported income or no reporting at all. There are also instances of illegal, unsafe housing resulting in needless liability for the city should another accident like the 2010 Wall Street fire occur, where the people had to jump out of the windows and they were injured and they sued the city for undisclosed amounts. It's unclear whether Norwalk's assessment practices reflect the shift in our housing. Homeowners face public shaming and property tax sales every 2 years if they fall in arrears. But anonymous LLCs or slum landlords don't appear to face the same level of scrutiny or consequences. That Norwalk doesn't require consistent profit and loss statements from landlords highlights the potential revenue that we're losing. This cannot be understated considering that 62% of our student population consists of low-income students, likely residing in such housing. Improved accounting of landlord income statements is needed. Rental housing and school enrollment are inextricably linked. I won't belabor the fairness, financial, or real estate consequences of undue tax burdens on owner-occupied homes versus multi-unit rentals, but we've reached a tipping point in our school financing. My hope is that, Mr. Ford, you will bring better assessment practices to our new complex rental situation, because smart, sustainable growth is needed to keep up with our city wages, currently outpacing local household income, while not chasing homeowners away. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John Flynn.
I came 2 weeks ago to speak and asked to supply an email to the city, which I promptly did. That was 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything. But that dealt with the 13 ethics complaints that I have outstanding. But what I'd like to talk about briefly that's on the agenda is the closed-door settlement discussions that you guys have. And after witnessing what's going on with the Norwalk Vesta housing lawsuit and the fact that nothing's been done about it, it's very concerning, because these people are calling me thinking I can help them, which I'm at my limit. I can only invest so much personal time on these people. But the third thing I'd like to mention is this is my 10th civilian complaint to the Norwalk Police Department that has never been answered. It's recent.
Mr. Flynn,
My 10th.
we've mentioned before that you can only speak on items
I know.
that are on the
I
agenda.
know.
And I've also
Oh,
said if you are
it's about
making
Al-Qaeda,
a complaint
so it's important.
against it, please, excuse me, if you're making a complaint against the police department, the proper way to do that is to contact the police chief.
Yes.
And make the complaint to him.
I went to Hume.
And
he
well, he's
refused
not
it.
the police chief, Mr. Flynn.
Well,
This
I'd
is
like
not on
to
the
read
this
this.
is not on the agenda.
Okay.
Please call the next speaker.
great.
Lisa
If you want to be
Henderson?
personally liable, that's fine with me.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Lisa Henderson, Appleby Lane, Norwalk. I have a statement. It seems to me that this council has shown little regard for the taxpayers of Norwalk when you approved the $50,000 for the preliminary architectural services for the new high school when there are no responsive documents detailing if the state is even willing to pay the 80% for the school. You were elected to represent the taxpayers of Norwalk, not Senator Duff's reelection campaign. This money should be revoked.
Ms. Henderson, if I
We
can,
have an
Ms.
actual
Henderson, if I can
commitment from the
interrupt you.
state. Thank you.
That was on last agenda.
Okay.
I just admonished Mr. Flynn, I cannot allow you to speak on an item that's not on tonight's agenda.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under resignations and appointments, we have first an appointment of Mr. William Ford as tax assessor. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to
Ms.
make
Smith?
that motion. And if I may, just say a few words about our new tax assessor, Mr. Ford. I had the opportunity to meet with him the other day, and his resume is extremely impressive. 10 years as the tax assessor in Worcester, prior to that, 10 years in Brewster, New York, and his own consulting company as well. His resume really does speak for itself, and he very much impressed the committee, the hiring committee, and we could not wait to scoop him up. So I wholeheartedly support his appointment.
Thank you. Further discussion? I too had an opportunity to meet with him, and I was quite impressed with his knowledge and the skills he brings to this position, and we're looking forward to having him on board. So without any further discussion, I will ask, Ms. Smith made the motion. I will ask for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Under reappointments? Under reappointments, first we have Doris Dash. Ash, I'm sorry. Why don't we do them all as a group, because they're all for reappointments as alternates to the Board of Assessment Appeals. We have Doris Ash, Josephine Dupree, Cindy Ellerman, Judith Hires, and Jane Reedy. Do I have a motion?
I so move, Your Honor.
Moved by Ms. Shanahan. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I don't know if anybody is here from the group. Okay. And the last appointment, Mr. John J. Bovey from the Water Pollution Control Authority. Do I have a motion? Mr. Serenides.
I'd like to move John Bovey for reappointment to the Water Pollution Control Authority. Even though last month was my first meeting and my first time getting to actually meet Mr. Bovey, I was very impressed with his knowledge pertaining to the WPCA. Everyone I've spoken to so far had nothing but positive comments to make about Mr. Bovey. I look forward to working with him.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Bovey's not here either. Next item on the agenda, the mayor's comments or remarks. First, we have this Saturday, February 1st, the Brian McMahon High School Winter Mania Guard Show. The Winter Guard is busy at work with their winter show. You haven't had the opportunity to go and view this wonderful program. I encourage you to try to go. The public is welcome to attend, and it's always very, very inspiring. We're very fortunate to have two wonderful music programs in our high schools, Norwalk High School and the Brian McMahon High School. They put a lot of time, a lot of energy into the program. The parents give a lot of time volunteering, helping the young people. It's quite remarkable and quite a tribute to Norwalk. Registration for Recreation and Parks Play and Learn program opens Monday online and in person at City Hall. Summer Play and Learn Camp is run by the Norwalk Recreation and Parks Department, and this summer season replaces the Personal Fulfillment Camp, PF Camp, formerly operated by the Norwalk Public Schools. Special congratulations to Ralph Bloom. Most of you know who Ralph is. He's Norwalk's, ordained and self-proclaimed historian, who is now beginning his 21st year volunteering with the Norwalk Public Library. Ralph really loves the library and is the true essence of what a volunteer can do in our community. National Wear Red Day is held the first Friday in February. On February 7th, I encourage people to wear red to help raise awareness about heart disease as a leading cause of death among Americans, especially women. The Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, or VITA, kickoff tax prep this week. They are here at City Hall every Tuesday starting in February 4th through April 14th. You can go online and find out who is eligible to have their income taxes prepared. They do several hundred, actually I think over 1,000 income tax preparations for people in the city of Norwalk every year, so it's really a worthwhile program. That's all I have, and I will now turn it over to Ms. Smith, the Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Unless anyone has an objection, I would like to move the executive session to the end of the meeting. Okay. And tonight's consent calendar will be read by Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. Consent calendar for this evening. 7, Common Council Committees, Ordinance Committee. A1, approve revisions to the following sections of Chapter 32, Code of Ethics. Section 32-16, incurring of costs by Board of Ethics staff. Section 32-17, representation of respondents by city. D, Health and Public Safety Committee, D1. Authorize the Department of Public Works to have Eversource Electric to install one new street light, note the clerical correction, on the existing utility pole at the southwest corner of the intersection of St. Paul's Place and Park Street in accordance with the attached plan at an approximate cost of $20 per month to be paid for from account number noted. E, Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs, E1, technical correction item number 7B10 on the Common Council agenda of January 14, 2020, which reads as follows. Authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement with Flowbird for the purchase of 4 CWTCC pay stations for an amount not to exceed $30,740. Account number noted. New action authorization request. Authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement with Kale America Incorporated, DBA, doing business as Flowbird, for the purchase of 4 CWTCC pay stations for an amount not to exceed $30,740. Account number noted.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. That's it for the consent calendar. Oh, right. Got to vote on that, don't we? All in favor of the consent calendar is read? Unanimous.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Burnett, item 7B1.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolved that a sum not to exceed $1 million be and the same is hereby transferred from fund balance to operating account as noted to provide matching funds for the YWCA build-out of the city-owned property located at 98 South Main Street, subject to contract approval. I'd like to make a brief comment on that.
Move it, make a comment.
Several months ago, we started the journey of returning the YMCA to Norwalk with the funding earmarked for use in the South Norwalk community with the $3.5 million GGP payment. The city was able to obtain full ownership of 98 South Main Street and subsequently submitted a request for a proposal for organizations to provide programming out of that location. The YMCA came forward, and we are now at the point this evening, after several months, of formalizing the partnership. The city has invested $300,000 to purchase 98 South Main Street, with additional $200,000 for capital improvements. The $1 million special appropriation, which will be matched by the YMCA, will allow us to begin renovations, program design, and implementation. We are elated by the family and children's services that will be offered to the community, and once again having the doors of the YMCA open here in Norwalk.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. The motion was made by Mr. Burnett. Do we have further discussion? Mr. Kites.
And the work began on this, and Mayor, you may remember, not just recently, but we're going years and years back. And talking to the folks at the YMCA, a lot of their work and their funding comes from private donors. So I do encourage anyone in the sound of my voice at home, please dig into your pockets, because we'd like to see not just see them open, but also continue, because there's a lot of anticipation. A lot of people are excited about this, and we'd like to have it be prosperous and work for our community, not just in South Norwalk, but all of Norwalk. Thank you.
Further discussion? I also would like to say that this is a really, really exciting time. I want to thank the council for their hard work and support. I want to thank my corporation counsel, Mario, for working diligently and helping to get this done. This is something that's really needed. That building has remained relatively vacant for too long. It's a wonderful asset for the city, and it's a place that now is going to be a place for people in the city of Norwalk to go and get various programs, various training, various services. I want to thank the Riverbrook YMCA, Bob McDowell, Alan Lowe, everybody for all the work that you've done and for the partnership that we're starting to form here. It's an exciting time, and we're really thrilled. Seeing no further comments, unless there are, I'll ask for a motion. The motion has been made by Mr. Burnett. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Congratulations. Mr. Livingston, item 7C1.
A little anticlimactic now, but I'll read the motion. I'll speak to it a moment and let the folks from the Y and maybe Alan speak a little as well. So this is, the motion is authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a lease agreement and all of the necessary documents with the Riverbrook Regional Young Men's Christians Association for the capital improvements, use, occupancy of the building, and continuing maintenance, repair, improvement of city-owned building located at 98 South Main Street. Terms of the lease agreement shall be as outlined in the lease term sheet and memo prepared by Darren Callahan, Assistant Corporation Counsel, dated November 27th, 2019. Actually, that's not the right date, because this is just updated. We just got a new term sheet submitted.
You want the new term sheet?
I have it, but the date would be what then? There we go. I want to correct it. It's not. Yesterday's date, okay. So dated January 27th, 2020. So. So anyway, so we've gotten a background from Mr. Burnett on this. I think everybody's familiar with it. I think this is an outstanding result for this building. As most of you know, we put out an RFP over a year ago, and we received one bid from the Y, and we walked through that, spent a lot of time with them. And we've come to a place that has been discussed, which I think is going to be a great addition to the city and to South Norwalk. The Y is returning, as Mr. Cotty said, and they're providing a lot of important services to the community. I'll talk about the lease term sheet very briefly. It's a term sheet for a 30-year lease. The reason for that is because the Y will be putting a lot of money into this. And that is one of the great selling points of the Y's efforts, along with their programming, is they've committed to really turning this into a real jewel of the community. As you can see from some of the backup in the materials, they are going to invest a lot of money. We're putting $1 million in. They're putting in at least $1 million, if not $2 million. And in terms of how this is going to work, it's not going to be vacant for long. They've assured us that they want to get in there and start working right away with the existing building. And while they're doing that, then to start moving to phase 2, which is making these major renovations that we've talked about. So with that, I'll let Bob, do you want to come out and say a few words about what you're doing?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I really appreciate it. My name is Bob McDowell. I'm the CEO of the River Regional YMCA, and we have been on this journey for several years and have met many of you along the way, and have had the privilege of working with Corporation Council and the mayor's staff in developing what we think is going to be impactful and meaningful work in that community. Looking at the property, 98 South Main Street, we have a budget of close to $5 million of renovative work. And as you heard Councilman Livingston mention and Councilman Burnett mention, that right away we're going to have about $2.4 million between the city and between the Y, between the two entities. We also have engaged memos of understanding with the Norwalk Housing Authority. We also have a memo of understanding with AmeriCares. AmeriCares looks to expand some square footage in the facility. We're very excited about that. As you know, they support this community with about 3,500 healthcare visits to uninsured people from that community each year. We think that is vital. Our board of directors is behind this 100%. The Norwalk Housing Authority, in conversations with them, are looking to fund out and fit out learning centers in that facility. So we'll see almost 110 children each day in that facility, and then we'll have a lot of YMCA programs. And along our journey, we did share a lot of renderings of the facility. I don't have them here tonight, but they have been shown to many of the committees, and so the different various rooms will be fit out and for use for youth and families and seniors. So this will be a true center of community. Our board is committed to go out based on a financial feasibility study that we did, go out and raise probably somewhere around $2.5 million. We also will have sustaining dollars on an annual basis that we're able to come up with a number from that study. When we talk with individuals in this community, it's not just corporations. We haven't really talked to corporations, but we talk to private individuals. And I think, Councilman Cuttis, I appreciate what you said about the community stepping up. As a nonprofit, we're going to need that, but our board is 28 strong, and we will have a council within that facility, in that program center. So we are very excited and really appreciate the cooperation we've received along the way, and the advice we've received along the way, not only from council members, but from community citizens.
Questions?
Any questions? Ms. Smith?
No question, but I just would like to comment. Bob, thank you so much for the work that you did and for being so responsive to the community. It was an honor to be on the ad hoc committee working with you. Just from partnering with AmeriCares, with the Housing Authority, and your willingness to do that, to really hear what the community's needs were and to respond to that and really create a hybrid facility specific to the needs of South Norwalk. So I just want to let you know how much I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And we're really excited.
Thank you.
I'll echo that. The Y and you, Bob, have shown great flexibility with the various constraints you've had to deal with, not least of which is having other tenants in the building already, and your willingness to work with everything you've dealt with has been really appreciated. And before I just pass it off for a vote, I just want to thank the people who worked on it. Alan worked on this a lot, the mayor's staff, Alicia, Mario, you and Darian did a great job. So thank everybody for all the hard work.
Thank you. And I know with the partnerships, they've also developed a wonderful relationship with Mount Zion Church right next door. Yes, and I know that there's going to be a lot of involvement in programs with them as well. So it really is a wonderful opportunity. And if you look at the renderings in your packet and the renderings that we showed at the announcement down at 98 South Main Street, it really is exciting what you're planning on doing there. And again, thank you to everybody who was so involved in helping to make this a reality. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. I will now ask for a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Ms. Smith moves. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We're in executive session at 8:01 PM. Okay, for the record, we came out of executive session at 8:09 PM. During executive session, there were no motions made, no votes taken. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, all in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned at 8:11. Thank you all. I know.